Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order for the Erie Land Bank. First item on the agenda is the consent agenda and public comment. Are there any items on the consent agenda that need to be moved to the regular discussion items? Okay. Since no items are being removed, I move to adopt the consent agenda.
So I'll second.
Okay. It's approved. All right, next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of September 18, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. The finance report, April?
Yes, so included in your packets are the balance sheet, the profit and loss, and then I also have the check detail in there. So on the balance sheet, it was showing that we have a little over $200,000 total in our bank accounts. That's for the checking, the escrow, and the savings account. On our profit and loss, we are showing $46,732.54 as our net income. And then for the check details, that's just what checks were dispersed in the month of October and the amounts that were on there.
Any questions? Paul? Thank you. Oh, go ahead.
There were the negative 6,700 on the first sheet here. What
Yes.
does that represent? That goes across to 1904.
I thought it was 1743.
What does that mean?
I think it's 1743 Fairmont Parkway.
See 1743 on the front sheet.
It looks like it lines up with 1904 June.
Okay.
That was it, June? Okay.
Is that house
Well-
the tree fell down?
No, that's a large corner lot over by Harbor Homes that we sold to that lady for development. Yeah, I guess I don't know why that would be showing as a negative asset value. Worse, it should show as zero since maybe it was never cleared from, because it shouldn't be in our assets because it's sold. So
And she bought it, is she moving forward on it?
she has not done anything that I'm aware of, no. We'll look into
Yeah,
1904 June
that's
Street to
quite a
see.
bit.
I had the same question about 209 German, seeing the negative. I mean, is that, Aaron, are you thinking any of them that are showing negative must be errors?
Yeah, there must be 90. Yeah, there must be something that's being deducted that shouldn't be being deducted from that asset line.
Okay.
Do those negatives affect the total on?
They
balance
affect
sheet.
our assets and against our liabilities, I mean, for that part of it. I mean, I guess it just brings our assets down from 1.546 to 1.3539.
Maybe you could just, if you can clean those up, maybe just send us a new one.
Absolutely.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay.
Any other questions?
On the check register, I've mentioned this before, but it'd be helpful if there's a, that the memo section be completed so that we know kind of, some of them are obvious, legal fees and so on, those are obvious, but some are maybe a little less obvious as to what the category might be. I know we're still using Quicken, right, until we transition over to
Yes, so.
QuickBooks, rather.
Yep, unless it was something that, the only thing that will pull over with a memo or description is when it is like an EFT that's automatically coming out. Any memos that we type in don't show on this paper when we're pulling a report.
So when we move over to Financial Edge, Blackbaud's Financial Edge,
Yes.
it will be, those descriptions should be right in there.
Yes.
Any other questions? Thank you. All right, are there any citizens here with comments? Okay, now we'll do the report of the executive director.
All right, thank you. Nice. Okay, so in your packet is the work plan 2022 and work plan 2023 spreadsheets with some updated as far as where some of the properties are. On 2022, for the most part, demolition has been completed. There is the one, 623 East 11th Street was a property that we entered into a relinquishment agreement through the authority for the previous owner. He failed to complete that relinquishment agreement. When default, we took him back in front of the court to assess value. The judge set value at 0, so now we'll move forward with disposing of that property and getting that cleared. 221 Locust Street is the other one that we finally settled on, so demolition contract has been signed, and we're waiting on demolition of that one as well. And then just one item of note there, 1027 East 3rd toward the bottom. That was a demolition, and then we had a water issue on that site, which we had to remediate. So we sent the contractor back out to excavate the hole, fix the issue, and prepare the site. So that issue's been resolved as well. So that's 2022, and then any of the sales agreements will move forward with getting those sold to side lot owners or anybody else that had put in an offer on those properties or offered out as vacant lots. Under the 2023 work plan, the top section there, Erie Land Bank judicial tax sale acquisitions. Of course, those are all under our control at this point, and for the most part, have been bid out, are under demo contract, and have been demolished or are being prepared to be demolished. The bottom part of that, so which includes the bottom part of the page and the two on the back, a couple of them we're just kind of in a limbo right now with the courts, and if Gene was here, he could kind of explain it maybe a little bit better. So Judge Piccinini, oh, Gene is here. Oh, geez, when did you sneak in, Gene? So Gene could talk more about where we are there, but so they've been through the process, but we're still waiting. We're not getting final orders like we used to. So we're meeting next week to kind of walk through that process and hopefully come to a understanding or a consensus amongst us how we feel the process should go. So I guess if there's no questions as far as properties, and I can segue that right into Gene's solicitor's report.
Good afternoon. We are waiting on a number of orders from the court. Hearings have been held, and there were some requests by the court to make sure that he was comfortable with the procedure and the protocol that was being followed. And in fact, the procedure and the protocol that's been followed is what's been in place for 10, 15 years before I even jumped into the soup. The court wants to make sure, and again, I'm in agreement, wants to make sure that before property is removed from ownership, that the property owners have 2 or 3 bites at the apple. And we have done that. We have been consistent in doing that. So there are any number of properties that we're waiting on from the court. So I'm hopeful by year end that there will be an influx of orders from the court so that we can move forward with these properties. So I think we're in good shape. We do have a meeting next week after Thanksgiving to make sure that what we're doing as an entity, that we're following the procedures and that we're comfortable, and in fact providing the court with all of the information and backstory so that the court is comfortable when the court renders the decision that in fact we've extinguished the property owner's ownership title interest. So I think we're in good position there. And even if the court comes back and says, hey, look, we need to modify things a little bit, we're able to do that in short order. Okay, so I think we're in a good place there. I did, moving on with my report, I received any number of phone calls from and email inquiries from not only board members, but attorneys within the Northwest Pennsylvania with regard to the judgment notations from the Erie Land Bank. And what that was is that was the 14 properties that that the land bank took from last year's tax sale. So what we've done is that it went through the tax sale process. Land bank secured them. We waited the appeal time frame, and then we started our quiet title action. So what we're doing is we're extinguishing those liens and encumbrances and ownership rights a second time. Because again, the title companies, if you're going to sell these properties to a third party, title insurance companies want to see that there is not only a tax sale extinguishment of the interest, but a quiet title action. So it's and I've said it before, it's kind of like a belt and suspenders approach. You're wiping them out twice. So a lot of times when I'm filing the quiet title actions, people will contact me and say, Gene, why are you sending this documentation? We've already received it on the tax sale. Aren't you guys aware of that? Yes, I'm aware of that, but I'm going through it a second time. Just bear with me. You know, you don't need to do anything if you don't want to do anything. If you want to contact an attorney, I'm more than happy to talk to them and tell them what we're doing and why we're doing it. So that showed up on the daily record as judgments being entered by the Erie Land Bank, when in fact what we're doing is we're wiping out those interests, and there was an order to that effect. So that's how it showed up. So at this point, we've cleared all that title so that, again, the Erie Land Bank can freely transfer those properties to adjoining property owners, or however we do what we do. Those were, that was the huge batch.
But that's a new procedure for us, am I correct? We've kind of added that on for that extra level of security?
We
Okay.
we have. And again, that came out of a mandate from title companies.
Right.
Many of them, when the next door neighbor's buying it for $500 cash, the title companies aren't getting involved in those.
Sure.
But then I saw some where title, so I said, okay, you know what, we're just gonna do a whole, we're all across the board. That's what we're gonna do, so that if, what my concern was then, if the neighbor buys it for $500, and they're fine with it, they've paid cash, but then in 5 years from now, they're selling it to a third party, that title company is gonna say, hey, what happened with that? I'm going, you know what, let's just erase that, because all of a sudden now I've got to go back and revisit that. I don't want to do that.
Great.
So that was kind of like the clean slate. I'm just going to do them all. We're going to loop them all together, all one big huge process. And it went through without any difficulties. There was one mortgage company that didn't want a judgment against them. So I sent them a mortgage satisfaction. I go, it's already been extinguished. You won't have a judgment, much like what's showing up in the daily record that's freaking people out. Sign the mortgage satisfaction, and they did, and they got it back to me, and I filed it. Okay, so so there was no judgment against that lender. 519, 521 East 25th Street. This guy doesn't want to leave. He lost it at tax sale. He's now holding tight, and so he will. You know, he's avoiding service. So again, when people talk amongst themselves and they find out, okay, I won't be able to delay it. I won't be able to delay Sunberg forever, but I can slow him down. So that's what's happening. He won't accept service. So there's a step for me to go into court. It's been filed for me to get the court to say, hey, look, Gene, you've tried to serve him all these ways. He won't do it. You can post it. you can post it, and that will suffice. I know he's there.
How old is he, G?
Pardon
Is
me?
he- How old is he?
You know what, I don't, you know what,
Is he elderly?
I don't know that. I don't have an idea as to whether he's an older, I don't know if he's an older gentleman, or, I don't have an idea on that.
We had some telephone communication with him, but, I mean, he's done a very good job of making everyone think that the property is unoccupied. Even the sheriff's deputy said that the property's vacant, there's nobody here, and he's there. He's
Yeah.
just very good about
So
it.
he's just playing games?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's,
And, okay, it's making me jump through extra hoops, that's okay, I'll do it. I'll do it. And this is gonna culminate in getting an order for us to show up with sheriffs to have them physically removed. And we don't want that, but I've been through that, and it's uncomfortable for everybody. They're literally physically removing them, and now what do you do with his personal belongings? You don't want to just throw it to the curb. Now you get bad publicity and all that, so we'll try to work with this gentleman, but when they know how to work it, and he's been successple. He's been living in there without paying anything for a number of years. It'd be nice, but that's not reality. And then I wanted to let you know about the upcoming sales. Again, we're still clearing a couple of back taxes, and we're waiting for some properties so that we can transfer those bottom four properties. So we've been busy. It's all good. We're moving in the right direction. No matter how many curveballs are thrown at us, we're able to take care of it. And I think I guess I don't, there's an upcoming tax sale in
December
December?
5th and 6th,
Okay,
which is, properties are on the agenda for today.
okay, good. I'll stop right then and there. Thank you. If there are any questions, let me know,
Questions?
please.
Thank you. All right, we're going to unfinished business and new business. Vacant lot proposals. And I believe, is this week?
Yes. Should be 3 properties, 936 East 9th Street, 307 Reed, and 238 East 31st Street, all of which were the only offers we've received for the purchase of those properties, all in the amount of $500, all by adjoining property owners to be utilized as side lots, no past due taxes, no past due utilities, and no blighted properties. So,
Aaron, was there any information as far as, are these are just side lots for?
Yes.
Okay.
yes.
All right, never mind. Are there any questions on the side lots? I know before there was maybe additional information that was attached to these before that gave information on exactly what they were going to do. I know these are side lots, and I guess I'm just kind of wondering if, like, some of these people, the buyers, are these properties that are next to their property that they live in?
Yes. Yeah, a lot of times we would provide that information if it was a vacant lot and it wasn't a side lot person, where they would have to define why their intent was to purchase that property. But these are just side lots to their already existing residents.
And remind me, we discussed this, do we encourage the owner to combine the lots then so that their taxes, so these,
Yes, that was
so they don't come back into,
Yeah,
you know.
our policy, and then the board had approved it, was that we want them to combine these 2 parcels, or this parcel with their existing parcel, so that then there's no chance that that property would recycle back
Correct.
through for past taxes or other such issues. So we really just, we don't want to deal with it anymore unless we're dealing with the other property at that point.
Correct.
And I can do that right at the closing. I can do a combination deed to integrate that side lot right into there.
Perfect. Yeah.
Nice and easy.
Because we don't want to see these addresses again, you know. And that's-
No.
It happened in the past, I know. So good. Just, thank you for the Sometimes things fall out of my head.
Oh, yeah, no, I understand, that's fine.
Can I get a motion to approve the sale of these vacant lots?
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the ayes have it. 2024 meeting schedule?
All right, so our highly discussed meeting schedule. So typically, it's third Monday of every month. The only exception is January because of Martin Luther King Day. So historically, we've just moved that to the following Monday, and the meetings would be, had been held at 1 p.m. in council chambers. So that's there. I know there's some discussion on time. Chris had, of course, mentioned his since he's not here. I will say moving it to any other day of the week causes some problems with availability of the room. We certainly can't have the meeting past 4 o'clock because then we have to incur the cost of security. So that's just kind of giving you the caveats as far as where we are with availability of having the meeting.
Is Chris saying that this time right now is not good for him?
No, this time, he said this time works best for him. Chuck was the one that has the issue with
It was me,
time.
because my office is in Edinburgh, so I come up, and then at 2 o'clock I'm done.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna go back to my office, and I can't go home because my cleaning lady's there, so I'm kind of homeless for a couple hours. I know, real world
It's a problem.
problems. Real world problems.
You could
So-
send her to my house.
But
I didn't think of that option.
But in the spirit of, what's good for all, I withdraw my request then, seeing that was going to cause too many complications.
I mean, we could certainly, if it's something, maybe in the next year, we start looking early on in the year, and I can try to identify some days and dates that work better for availability as far as not conflicting with other boards and stuff. We could do that. Just late in the year to, everyone else already got their meeting scheduled, so.
Do we offer a virtual option? I'm just curious.
We do.
Oh.
Yeah, we have a Zoom link for every
I've
meeting.
Done that? Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
from Liverpool.
If you
actually.
have to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so are we all in agreement that we're gonna keep the meeting at 1 o'clock every third Monday of the month?
Sure, I'll
Except
just-
January?
Yeah, I'll just
Okay.
suffer in silence, that's all.
Okay.
Don't worry about me.
Can I have a motion to keep the meetings every third Monday of the month except January, and the meetings will be at 1 p.m. in city council chambers?
So move.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it, thank you. The 2024 ELB work plan, Aaron?
All right, yeah, so in front of you is the proposed 2024 work plan for the or for the land bank. And so you'd seen this a few months ago. We typically, every year, we prepare it. The board sees it, you kind of approve it to be passed along to the Erie County Land Bank where, we get our allocation of funding from every year. I didn't provide the one we proposed to them, but we had proposed $500,000 in gaming revenue funds along with $175,000 in Act 152 funding. That's the demolition fund from Erie County as tax on realty transfers. They get that funding. So I'll touch on that first. So as real estate transactions have kind of diminished over 2023, that fund we've done a good job at depleting it. Right now, I think it sits, and so you have our work plan, and then I provided the Erie County Land Bank overview. Trying to find, so right now, left-hand side demolition funds, right now, total uncommitted demo funds out of that Act 152 for the year sits at $27,361.56. So the county estimates that they will get $175,000 in 2024 in demolition funds. We don't feel that that's accurate, where we're kind of anticipating $125,000 in demo funds. Just be on the safe side that we're budgeting appropriately. So in total, $150,000 in demolition funds, $70,000 for the Erie County Land Bank, and $70,000 for the Erie Land Bank is what the County Land Bank Board has approved as far as allocation so that we could put a budget together for this work plan. So, like I said, I had requested 175,000. They got us to 70, which I noticed that I put 75 on the sources of funds on my work plan. I apologize for that. But on the right-hand side, so I'll start at the top and just kind of, if you have questions on it, I can try to answer, from there. But, so they have some programs, that top right corner is some programs that they have allocated committed some of their funds to. The exterior cleanup, which is one that, I really pushed for a couple years ago, we haven't really utilized. It's for us to basically go in as a land bank and help a property owner whose property is overgrown. Maybe got a bunch of trash, some, older couple, family, resident, whatever the case would be. We can go in and request basically to send out a landscaper or whatever to get the property back under control so that then maybe a neighborhood group could help mow it. We've tried to work with code enforcement, years get busy and nobody ever recommends us one. And so that's still there, the funding's still there for that, so certainly not a problem there. Homeowner education, they've allocated $30,000 for homeowner education. We all know homeowners need some education as far as how to maintain their property, what to do when their water heater breaks, things like that. So certainly, and now that Christy has additional staff, she's gonna move toward trying to work and we can kind of get together on building those programs. And then the revolving loan fund, they still sit on $1 million in revolving loan fund. Not really sure what their plan is to do with that, but they have $1 million allocated in that. So that's taking out of all of their budget. Because on the left-hand top column is kind of their basic fund balance. Yep.
A couple questions. You
Yeah.
said you put in a request for 150 from the county, and they're gonna give you 70.
Yes.
Okay. Now, on the exterior cleanup fund, so if you haven't received any help from code enforcement, how does that operate? I mean, how does that do? I mean, if you got to say an example from a neighborhood watch group that has a neighbor that can't take care of their property anymore, are you saying you have money available
Yes.
to go in and clean it
Yes.
up?
Yeah, so that would be, we've met with code enforcement, we haven't really got much from them. So the next step is to start attending some neighborhood watch meetings and provide this information out to them so that you as neighborhood groups know there's money available for that.
Okay.
So
All right.
I'd really like to get at least I'd say our 50% share of that this year and utilize that within the city of Erie, so.
Is there a minimum or maximum amount for that exterior cleanup?
I think we had capped it at $2,500. I'd have to pull the sheet. It was about a year ago when we put that together. So, but I believe we tried to figure if you had to bring in a company to trim up some trees, haul away some brush and trash, $2,000 to $2,500 should do it to make it at least manageable for the homeowner.
Aaron, I don't know the status of the summer work program in the city and the county, but I know that Gary Horton did a program this summer where he, employed youth to go out and do exactly that kind of work. I'm just thinking when we talk about how to spend those dollars, maybe there's a community aspect, particularly for kids, that we could be pushing that money, cleaning up
Yeah.
trash and mowing lawns, that's right in their wheelhouse. So just a thought as you think about putting that program together.
Absolutely, that's a good thought. All right, so then kind of go down to that middle block, and so that's our funding allocations. And as I explained to the Erie County Land Bank Board, so when you look at our work plans, I look at them more like grants as opposed to anything. So, right now under our 21 program, we have $1,573.25 left in that fund. 22, we have $134,684.06, and in the 23, we have $235,260.09. So we still have that funding available to us. But then under 2024, like I said, I had requested $500,000. They settled on $275,000. Okay, so that's where then come back, put together the new proposed plan, kind of reduce some of our property acquisition expectations. Of course, keeping the tax sale as high as possible, since that is our easiest, best course of action as that goes, and then left at least 4 condemnations on there for us to address properties that are outside of availability of other funds, such as the ARPA blight mitigation program and those. So try to target some properties that are essential that the land bank can go after. And then left in just quiet title action on the tax sale properties, of course demolition, rehabilitation, which, you know, takes care of some of the other things like, you know, securing the roof, putting a tarp on a roof, taking care of those type issues to make a property so we can get it out to a developer of such. Property maintenance or seasonal care, which is a big one, board and seal, which we've definitely invested a lot in, and it is helpful to the residents around those properties. And then trash removal, clean out for a property that, you know, maybe we're taking that's salvageable but it's full of personal belongings to get that stuff removed. So some administrative staffing along with administrative and legal costs totaling a work plan of $451,050. And then the sources are down below between the Act 152 funds, bringing in some ARPA blight mitigation money for demolition of properties that are in the QCTs, and then Erie County Gaming Revenue, Erie County Land Bank, the gaming revenue funds of $275, and then Erie Land Bank property sale proceeds of $23,050 to balance it out. So I know the plan is shorter and less aggressive than in years past, but when you look back at what we're still working on in the 23 and 22 work plans, we still have funding there, we still have the means to continue what we're doing. We'll just continue to leverage those with this and move forward. So this is for your review, any questions, and then if this is approved, then we will put together the land bank operational budget for 2024 for the board next month.
Were you looking to have this approved at this meeting here, or?
Yes. Because then it'll help me set up our operational budget for next month. And I'm not opposed to if the board would want to have a study session to go over that operational budget prior to the land bank meeting. It's going to be really a first for the land bank. In years past, if you recall, we kind of set the land bank work plan as the operational budget for the land bank. I don't really want to do that this year, given that we have these outstanding grants as work plans. I just kind of want to pull those in as revenue, kind of go through what our operational expenses have been historically, and kind of set our plan moving forward, so we can kind of begin to structure it as a, you know, a general operating budget, not necessarily a work plan, because these work plans carry on into the next year, and it just creates a little bit of financial, yeah, you got 3 work plans working and which goes into what, and so that's kind of where we're at.
Is it possible to share, you know, I see what the ongoing, you know, expenses, revenues, and expenses are, but I'm not sure what the outcomes are. You know, can we attach the anticipated number of properties, units, buildings, or whatever that we're going to affect as part of each year's plan to see if there's, you know, increased productivity, you know?
I can certainly, I have that information, and
Okay.
I actually have a map that, you know, you can toggle on the different years, and certainly, you know, you can see, especially from the 22 work plan, I mean, that was a very aggressive year for the land bank.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't, off the top of my head, don't know how many total that was, but it was well, I think, over
Yeah.
50 properties.
It feels like it should be kind of, you know, corollary that, you know, the productivity each year, you know, or each quarter, each year, whatever, should also be kind of mapped out as well. And it would be great if our productivity went up and our expenses remained the same, or, you know, it shows that we become more efficient, if that's possible. And again, I'm just not sure what the math looks like to get there, but it feels like there should be some tie back into productivity in the number of whatever we're producing here, widgets.
Right,
you know.
yeah, and I've always tried to tie what we are going to acquire, one, off of what's available from the judicial tax sale. I mean, we don't control that, what's available is what there is, and then try to supplement that with blight acquisition. So based upon the funding available, and certainly, you know, there's funding in our savings and checking account, but, you know, we certainly don't want to deplete that, because, you know, Jake and I have had some conversations about different things maybe we would like to put in front of the board. You know, we do have that renovation on German that we're still trying to get figured out, you know, so just some things that we would like to have some availability to do, and maybe try to move some different projects with the land bank. But
How do
yeah,
you wanna
we can
proceed
get
with
that.
this?
Yeah, so it just feels that, you know, we talked numbers and that's great, but, you know, I think productivity is equally important, because if we were to be interviewed by the, you know, by the news media, it would be good to be able to respond.
Yeah, I'm in favor of everything here today, and I agree with Chuck. I would be in favor of a study session, probably
Yeah.
bringing that information along with it. I think that, I like where you're going with how we're presenting the information, so I'm open to that if you
Okay.
think that'd be helpful.
Yeah, I think that would be beneficial, just so we could kind of walk through what we're doing, what we've done, what each category includes as far as expenditures, and we can kind of craft it so that going into the next meeting in the budget, you know, we can certainly make sure that we've had the time to answer those questions.
Okay,
Makes
good.
sense.
Thank you.
Paul, you in agreement with that? Or do you have questions, or?
I do, but that's okay. Whatever.
All right, so,
I just have, on that $100,000 that the county has, county land bank, for exterior cleanup, I don't see it in the city of Erie's work plan.
So-
Is that just their money, or is that,
So the way the programs were created was that since the Erie Land Bank, it's, you know, we request our money from them. They're the holders of that $1 million gaming revenue deposit every year. And so we submit for that. And so they're governed by a board. I present to that board every month as far as where we are with our work plans, and work with them to try to, you know, get programmatic stuff that helps both of us. And so their board certainly understands the importance of the city of Erie, the magnitude of our issue within the city of Erie as far as blight. And then, you know, if it wasn't for those two other outstanding work plans, they probably would have given us the $500,000. But they see the extra money we still have out there, so we will just try to work through those work plans, close it out, have them reallocate the money into 2024, and try to, you know, bring more properties online. So, but the 100,000, it's there for either land bank to use. So,
so you would be able to use it in
Yes.
2024, it came up.
Yes.
Second question is on the seasonal care.
yes,
What's that for?
that is for our lawn mowing.
What about snow removal during the winter?
It can cover snow removal. I know snow removal is a tough one, and one I try to hope that it never snows, because snow removal is one of those, you know, we can have a guy, and it's costly. I mean, the cost to do it. But for us to go out and snow blow one lot in the middle of 12 that aren't cleaned, it just sometimes, I don't know. We always RFP for it, and we hope that the snow comes and it melts and we don't have to worry about it. But we do have an RFP for it typically, that we can send a contractor out to do it. It's just, as you drive through the neighborhoods, we're the only snow-blown street in there. I know your area, Center City, we have a higher responsibility because we own a lot of corner lots. But other areas, we own a one-off lot in the middle of 23rd Street that nobody else shovels their sidewalks. So it's kind of a, do we dump $12,000 a year in snow removal if we don't really have to?
Well, I certainly think where it's needed, it should be done. Because I know too many times, I know on my block, people shovel their walk, except to where we get down to that empty lot down towards 23rd and German on the south side. To me, those properties there, I think you're familiar with on the 200 south side, guy that's paraplegic or family got killed in the city, okay? I honestly believe that property, for example, would be eligible for exterior cleanup, especially on the 24th Street side, which is a mess. And we had a guy die last week, and thank God somebody found him that was in the alleyway adjacent to that. But we don't know how long he was laying there, and no one could see him because of the trees and everything that had grown up on that lot.
Was that one of our lots?
That's the one who, the guy whose family got killed up in
Oh,
New
okay.
York City.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's just an
Frank House
example.
Realty.
But the other thing is the school district is posting signs up as far as where the kids can walk, safe walk back passages. And I don't know if any of your lots are along there, but it's something to just, pay attention to, or just to see if to make sure there isn't any problems with that.
Paul, thanks for saying that. I was gonna add, I mean, there are designated safe routes to school now, and it is well posted, so I guess I would say, Aaron, at least on those routes, if we could make sure the city, we're doing our part, I think that would be
Yeah,
a good idea.
I agree. Yeah.
I get it's a lot.
Budget-wise,
yeah.
yeah, it's tough.
All right, so are we waiting for the study session before we vote on this, or how are we proceeding with this?
Do you need us to vote on
I
this in
guess I
order
would,
to have?
to approve the
Yeah.
work plan, and then I can move that forward as a revenue into the operational budget.
I'll make that motion. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
Chuck.
And I'll second that
Okay,
motion.
okay.
And that gives us a chance to really dig in, so we can keep moving, but we got also to dig into the details.
Right, yeah, because and just, on the operational budget, you won't see under the 2024 revenue this full amount, because we will anticipate that 2024 will roll over into 2025. So we can talk more about that at the study session.
All right, all in favor to move forward with the budget as it has been presented, and then the study session will be later?
Aye.
All right?
All right.
Okay, the ayes have it. Thank you. 2023 judicial tax sale options in.
All right, so in front of you is a list of properties. 21 was on the original option sheet for the judicial tax sale. We went through, we identified that for all intents and purposes, they are vacant or unauthorized occupancy. So we went ahead and put the option agreements on them, and now they are in front of the board for the board to approve the option of those properties, so that then we can provide McDonald Illig with the checks to solidify our option on those properties. So, like I said, it was a list of 21. As happens up until the day of the sale, the bottom two have been removed because the owner paid the back taxes. Given that one of those is a blighted property, so that is still on our authority radar as far as condemnation action possibilities, things like that. But, so the remaining 19, plus Jake identified another one this morning, 1316 Buffalo Road, which isn't on that list, but, I would like the board to add that to the list, 1316 Buffalo Road, as the ability to provide checks to McDonald Illig to solidify our option agreement on those. So, like I said, they're our best financial decision. They're a lot cleaner and easier than condemnation. It's $1,188 for the tax, or for the land bank to option them. As long as they don't pay taxes up until the time the gavel falls, then we get the options, and Gene starts his work of going through acquisition, which typically happens in March, early April is when we get deeds to those properties. We do, we'll say 649 Downing Court and 427 Liberty. Our West Bayfront is interested in those. Anna has not gotten back to me whether she's gonna enter into a conduit sales agreement, or if she's just gonna let them follow through and then put in a proposal to purchase them.
Who's that?
Our West Bayfront.
Okay.
And Aaron, what were those properties again? 649 Downing?
649 Downing Court and 427 Liberty Street.
Thank you.
What was the last one that you said? You said 649 Downing Court and,
So yeah, 649 Downing Court and then 427 Liberty Street are potential our West Bayfront conduit sales agreements. If she doesn't option that, then she will certainly have proposals in on them. If Downing Court's probably the only, Liberty, the gentleman was living in it up until a couple weeks ago when he moved out. So that property is probably a viable rehab. Downing Court is the unknown at this point. It's been vacant for several years, and it's not in the greatest of shape, so we won't know until we get inside. And then there is on there, you'll see 701 Reed, 705 East 7th Street. Those properties in that East Bayfront Greenway Trail area, that area that we're working on with the authority, certainly we would be looking at acquiring those from the land bank for the East Bayfront Greenway Trail, once those are acquired, so.
Right, so I'd need a motion to present a check to McDonald Elliott for the 20 properties that are listed on the Erie Land Bank 2023 option list.
I'll second it.
Okay, it's been moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right, is there other business?
The only other thing that I failed to mention under my executive director report, I wanted to welcome Chris to the authority. She's a new Blade property assistant. She is going to be working with Jake to help move some of these properties and work to make sure that we're being as productive as we can moving these properties all through the process. So we welcome her to the team and hopefully look forward to her helping us get these things moving forward and keeping things going, so.
Welcome, Chris.
Great, welcome.
First go.
Any other business? Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.